The race to replace Justin Trudeau is becoming a story more about who's not in it than who is. And are the Liberals' power that be trying to just coronate Mark Carney? Hello, I'm Adrienne Batra. With me are Brian Lilley and Warren Kinsella. Okay, Warren, I find it interesting that we have all sorts of names out there. Anita Anand, no. Mr. Champagne, no. And now there are other names that are emerging, not as big names, to be sure, some that haven't been in liberal politics for a long time. So why is it, and it appears to me, that it seems they just want to set up Mark Carney to be coronated as their next leader?
Well, I think some of them don't want that. And by the way, I'm at the Patrician Grill here in Toronto, the finest diner,
We,
as
we
Brian
couldn't
Lilley and
tell.
I know. We are not being paid for this placement.
Mhm.
But money is a big part of the reason why people aren't jumping into the race, the federal Liberal leadership race. Like they want a lot of money up front. 350 grand. They've given them a spending limit of $5 million, which is absurd. Talk about a situation ripe for foreign interference. So that's problem number one. Problem number two is, they're going to lose the election at this stage. The gap is still what it was. I saw a couple polls this week, 25 points. So, a lot of them are saying, do I really want to be leader of the opposition without a seat in the House of Commons or in opposition for 10 years? So I think a lot of them are dusting off their CVs and moving on to a different world.
Dominic LeBlanc, Brian, also a no.
Yeah.
And now it appears that this is going to be a potential battle between Justin Trudeau's financial advisors, Chrystia Freeland and Mark Carney. I want to talk about Mark Carney first for a moment. He recently decided to announce that he's running for Liberal leader to be Canada's next prime minister, basically, on The Daily Show, and had this to say.
A wild hypothetical. Let's say the candidate wasn't part of the government. Let's say the candidate did have a lot of economic experience. Let's say the candidate did deal with crises. Let's say the candidate had a plan to deal with the challenges in the here and now.
Sneaky, you're running as an outsider.
I am an outsider.
So claiming himself to be an outsider, Brian, I think you need to dispel our viewers of that notion.
Look, I've been writing about the Liberal leadership race and breaking a bunch of news about the Liberal leadership race in the pages of the Toronto Sun or online. So torontosun.com, go read it. You're getting the best coverage of the Liberal leadership race in the Sun, and I'm getting that from Liberals. Carney can't claim to be an outsider. He has been advising this government since 2020. He's been around politics his whole life. His dad ran for the Liberals back in 1980. Sure. He worked with Stephen Harper and Jim Flaherty while he was a civil servant. How did he get the job as Bank of Canada governor? Well, he was a deputy minister in finance that started under the Martin government and worked under Harper and then ended up Bank of Canada governor, Bank of England governor. I mean, the guy is the ultimate insider. He has been appointed Justin Trudeau's advisor, not to the government, but to the Liberal Party. And I'm having Liberals say to me, what did we get for that? Other than his own attempt to try and build up a platform, what did we get for that? Those are valid questions. Couple things. One, Carney's gotten some criticism for making his announcement on The Daily Show. I have no issue with that. I found the Jon Stewart part weird, but Stewart's a weird dude. But Carney did something he needed to do. He showed that he could look and sound like a normal person. And that's always been my knock against him. Covered him for years. I've always said he's a likable guy. He is a smart guy. He's an accomplished guy, but he has difficulty talking to regular folks. He showed that he could do that in spades. He excelled in that interview. You may not like him, but that's the reality. He impressed a lot of people. Secondly, in terms of building up power within the Liberal Party, I'm told that he has been having regular meetings with MPs, one-on-one, going back months, if not the last year to two. Justin Trudeau doesn't sit down with his own caucus, definitely not one-on-one. Trudeau doesn't even sit down with his own cabinet ministers in one-on-ones. So he's been building this rapport as he's been trying to get people on side. Not everyone wants him, but these are some of the things he's been doing as the outsider.
Mhm. Well, certainly claiming to be an outsider, Warren, but there's all sorts of clips and quotes and photos that are coming back to haunt Mark Carney. But one in particular that is now floating around is one of his comments that he made about the Hamas-loving Greta Thunberg, who he praised her in public at one of these big thinky type events, praised her in her book. Let's have a look at that.
See myself as part of the social movement. I think those at the vanguard of the social movement might see me as being farther behind. And I've, absolutely full credit, and I do in the book, to Greta Thunberg, who I've had the pleasure of meeting several times, and who absolutely has catalyzed that movement, the youth movement.
So, Warren, I'm wondering, comments like that really just, I think, reinforce to many Canadians that already believe Canada has been sold out in some way, and that really Carney is simply just a replacement of Justin Trudeau, who really wanted to have Canada's soul sold to all these sort of global organizations.
Yeah, he's got two big problems. He is, as Brian has reported, as we have reported in the pages of our paper, he is the Trudeau candidate. Like, if you like the Trudeau policies, vote for Mark Carney, because you're going to get more of them. He's been advising them on the QT for nearly 2 years, and Trudeau's been trying to figure out, by hook or by crook how to get Carney in there, including over the lifeless political body of Chrystia Freeland. That's part of the reason why she quit Trudeau's cabinet. So he is the Trudeau candidate. That's who he is. That's number one problem. Number two problem, and I've been through this before, in my reckless youth, I advised Michael Ignatieff. And I remember talking to Ignatieff. I found out from some of my Tory friends, they're getting ready to spend $4 million on a campaign that said, just visiting. Remember that? It kind of worked. And that's, Carney's got the same exposure. Is when you look at the guy, he's like John Kerry, he's like Michael Ignatieff. You can't picture him ever worrying about a rental payment or a mortgage payment, or experiencing, the everyday concerns of your average Canadian. Why does that matter? Well, look at what Pierre Poilievre's been doing since he became leader. He talks about one issue over and over, and that's the economy and pocketbook issues. That's what Donald Trump did over and over. That's what works. And so, looking like you don't understand the life of your average Joe or Jane front porch is fatal these days. And I think that he's coming into the race with a real deficit, which is him as a guy. He's just the guy who doesn't get your average Canadian.
Brian, let's sort of shift a bit to the other would-be perceived frontrunner of this race, and that is the former finance minister, Chrystia Freeland, the very person Mark Carney was supposed to replace just a few short weeks ago, till everything imploded. Chrystia Freeland is someone who I think gave some emboldened a number of MPs when she quit as finance minister on the very day she was supposed to release the fall economic statement. I think she sort of gave them a little bit of momentum to speak publicly. But this is going to be a vote of Liberals, the party membership, however they clean up those lists, whatever that looks like. What is Freeland saying to the membership? Look, if you didn't like Justin Trudeau, which you didn't, but I was standing shoulder to shoulder with him for all these years. I'm the architect of many of this. And by the way, I'm not going to tell you if I support the carbon tax or not.
Yeah, look, despite having names like Frank Baylis in the race, or Ruby Dalla, or Jamie Batiste, or Chandra Arya, this is a knife fight between Freeland and Carney, the one that advised on all the policies that have made Trudeau's government unpopular on the economy, and the person who implemented all the ideas that have made Justin Trudeau unpopular on the economy. That is, utterly insane, trying to say that you're the new change agent. But, I've had both camps talking to me, trying to show that, oh no, we're the outsider. We're not the insider. We're not with that guy. All of Trudeau's team almost is behind Carney. And when they've pushed back on my reporting that he's the Trudeau candidate, I said, well, who else? Oh, well, Jeremy Broadhurst is with Chrystia Freeland. Now, Jeremy Broadhurst, you may remember his name from the Foreign Interference Inquiry. He's the guy that was briefed on Han-Dong. He ran Trudeau's campaigns, but he's not one of the old guard Trudeau folks. He's been around the party forever, and he worked for Freeland at one point. This is two parts of the same party trying to say we're not the old guys when they were the ones doing it. You also have the fact that Mark Carney is godfather to one of Chrystia Freeland's kids. And like I said, this is going to be a knife fight. It may come down to which candidate wants to be nastier to the other. It's going to be Liberal civil war, which is something that Warren is familiar with. But there's a whisper campaign that Freeland isn't actually going to enter. Spoke to someone close to Freeland who assured me, no, she is entering. Smart move, though. Carney announcing Thursday night. What does Freeland do? Make sure that Wednesday nights and Thursday mornings news cycle on the Liberal leadership race is about her wanting to back away from the carbon tax. And so she's getting news cycle while Carney is trying to launch, and he's also going to back away from the carbon tax, the thing that they've told us we absolutely have to have, and if we don't have, the planet dies.
Yeah. So Warren, just sort of on that with respect to Freeland, the notion, the one thing that Pierre Poilievre has been so successful at, as you've already mentioned, is talking about those pocketbook issues, talking about those issues that our Canadians are facing on a daily basis, affordability, inflation. These are the types of things, Chrystia Freeland is like, cancel your Disney Plus subscription. Again, sort of that out of touch notion, similar to Mark Carney. But Freeland, if she does sort of back away from the carbon tax, the believability factor on that is, I think, maybe for Liberals that want to see her as the next leader, they may buy it. I just don't see that playing in the rest of Canada.
And it gives them less than zero credibility. As Brian says, Poilievre's been running a campaign against it. It's been the issue that he's talked about all the time, to deal with affordability is getting rid of the carbon tax. It was the signature policy of the Trudeau government. It was in every single one of their red books in all of their campaigns, 2015, 2019, 2021. They talked about the carbon tax all the time. They gave it different names and they, played a few games, but they were always in favor of it. Now to see all of them running like lemmings in the opposite direction, it's just not credible, because then your average Canadian is going to say, what do you guys believe in? Do you believe in anything? All this stuff you told us about the planet and being concerned about it, and this was your signature policy. Well, what happened to that? What do you really believe in? And, the rule in politics is define or be defined. That's why Trump beat Hillary Clinton. That's why he beat Kamala Harris. Both those candidates did not define themselves in time. And the problem here is that these two people are going to be duking it out, because the other candidates are just, they're not credible. Karina Gould, we should watch, I think, because she's there as a stalking horse. She's going to be attacking Freeland so that Carney doesn't need to do it. That's what I am told. But the Liberals are just, they've abandoned all credibility. They've abandoned any legitimacy by abandoning this policy. And I don't think it's going to sell with Canadians. I don't think anybody's going to believe them.
Brian, when Christy Clark, the former British Columbia Premier's failure to launch happened, her campaign didn't go anywhere fast. When she decided that she was not going to step into the race, was that more an adverse effect for Freeland or for Carney?
I'm not sure which one it benefits. I mean, they gave the lame excuse that, well, she doesn't speak French well enough. We knew that the day before. We knew that a month ago. We knew that 2 months ago. She really stepped down because she was caught lying about having never or having been a member of the Conservative Party of Canada when she was trying to support Jean Charest. And in fact, she even mused about running for the Conservative leadership back in 2020. So, I mean, that was her problem. Which one does it help? Tough for me to say. I thought she was going to be her own dynamic candidate, a woman with strong executive experience as a premier, someone who knows how to work a room, someone who has charisma, and can be really good on policy files. And she had an amazing comeback in 2013 in the BC election when nobody thought that the BC Liberals were going to win. I was sitting in the room broadcasting, covering it, and we were all shocked. So she had potential to be a third strong candidate and blew it. Right now, it looks like Carney's the one with momentum because he's been on the Daily Show. He's been the one that the Liberals are attacking, the other Liberals. You know, the Conservatives, people keep thinking the Conservatives are doing all these attacks on Mark Carney, and it shows how scared they are. No, most of this stuff, it's all coming from Liberals. Conservatives are picking up on it and echoing it, but it's coming from Liberals.
That's right, Warren. The call is certainly coming from inside the House. And you do absolutely know a thing or two about Liberal civil wars. But I don't want to relitigate all that. I just want to look forward to just a few weeks' time from now. And the last word to you here, Warren. We're expected this all to unfold by March 9th. The House is supposed to return 2.5 weeks after that. Then what?
They don't have enough time to define themselves. It's ridiculous. You know, that's why I said in our last gathering, it's impossible for them to pull this off. How do you become leader on March the 9th? And then the House, the government gets defeated 2 weeks later. How do you say, here's who I am to the Canadian people? They're not gonna
sign a deal with jug meat.
Yeah, yes, and there are rumors about that. The jug meat may once again join the axis of weasels, but it's absurd. Like it's a formula for losing an election in a big way. So I don't get the rationale at all. So it doesn't matter if it's Carney, it doesn't matter if it's Freeland or Karina Gould or Skippy the Wonder Seal. At this point, they're going to lose because on the policy front and on the political front, they are hobbled.
Well, we'll see if it's simply going to be a coronation for Carney, or can Chrystia Freeland make a good run of it? Let us know what you think in the comments below. Like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel. And go to thetorontosun.com. You'll find commentary and coverage there you will not find anywhere else.